of different things that are bad about working from home. For me, I always end up with a list of jobs for my wife that says you need to do all these things before I come home, which is never great.
Which is really, really bad. You have two employers right now.
That's it. But the other side of that equation is I'm a people person. I deal with people on a daily basis. My whole life, my job, everything that I've created for myself is around looking after individuals. Yes, it's based in strategy as much as, other stuff and looking at different ways it's done, but actually it's to benefit people.
Right.
So I like going to visit people for a coffee. I like going into the office of a business and feeling what the culture's like, because that's something a computer program can't do. That's something that, that's experience. That's something I've spent years and years and years being able to sort of bring to the table. It's not cold. It's not disconnected. It's that whole sort of scenario of the fact that, do we want to live our entire existence online? Do we want to sort of, do we effectively want to go to the whole sort of WALL-E concept? Where we're just being maintained by a couple of robots in a ship as we're flying around the universe and everything's virtual. Personally, I like real life. I like being able to go and, as I was saying earlier to yourself, I like being able to go to places, to feel the culture, to understand the needs of a business that I'm going into, because every business is different. And the culture of every business is different, and every nationality is different, and every continent is different. And, just to sort of sit in an office behind a desk and it's kind of, I liken it to the sort of Simpsons episode where he's just pushing the Y key the whole time, why, and you're like, that isn't me. That isn't where I want to be. And actually, it's not where I'd want my son to be. I've got a 10-year-old son, and coming out of the pandemic for him has been horrendous because of the interpersonal skills that he's lost.
Yeah,
and I still now go to face-to-face meetings and people talk to me as if I was on camera. And it's that weird disconnect where people think they can actually get away with speaking in a certain way because, you're on camera, you're not right there in front of them. So it removes that sort of that personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And they use language that they would never dream of using if you were sat in front of them.
Yeah.
But the camera removes that interactivity. And let's be fair, as humans, we're pack animals. We've grown up to be around other humans. So yes, I support remote working to a point.
Yeah, I have to tell you that I totally understand what you're saying. Most of my life I've been working here at home, but I went to my clients at least 2-3 times a week. I would go to Tel Aviv area, wherever, and meet my clients where they are, and to sit with them and to really listen to them and see what their workplace is and the interaction and the politics, which is influencing what you're doing, whatever, and just understanding that. And even the drive, you have lots of traffic in Israel. So I have time to talk with my friends and to listen to a podcast. And there is sun outside most of the time in Israel. And it's like, this is what you need as a person. Like, we're human beings. We need, as you call it, a pack. We need a group of people. We need to have the interaction. We need to go outside, right? Just see the sun, feel the wind, walking. We're not only these eyes in front of this square. We need to go outside and feel the tangible feeling of our senses. And if we don't get that, which is so basic, just walking on the ground and hearing the birds and seeing the sun and meeting people and maybe even other animals, right? It could be the birds and see the cats on the street, whatever. If you don't have that, how would you be in a good mental health? You couldn't do that. No, because you're not meant to do that.
You are completely correct. And that's why I support it with caveat. So my caveat is, at the end of the day, a couple of days at home working, fair enough. But if your entire working existence, even if you're a programmer, let's be fair, there's loads and loads of tech companies that employ remote programmers who
Right.
are all over the world. For me, when I was working in that industry, especially over the pandemic, the first thing I said to the companies that I was working with, how much contact do you actually have with these people who are remote? And they were like, well, every morning. And I was like, okay, great, every morning. What do you talk about? Work.
Yeah, the task
Right.
is for today, right?
Yeah. So okay. So this person, let's say, lives on his own in a flat programming, or he lives with his wife and his kid, or whatever the case might be. The only interaction he ever has with his business is, morning, Craig. Did you hit target yesterday? No, I didn't. Well, can you work harder today then? Yeah, okay, good, brilliant. Well, I'll speak to you tomorrow. Okay. Any issues? No. Of course there are no issues. I'm not going to tell you even if there are, because you don't care. You only asked me about work.
Of course.
And that was the biggest issue that I found, sort of from the remote working perspective, was the only time these people ever interacted with anyone was in a work bubble basis. So it wasn't like, they had a healthy sort of, let's have a chat about anything other than, because if I was in the office, I'd have gone to make myself a cup of coffee. Bob from accounts would have come in and we'd have sat and talked about the football results and had a drink and just talked about whatever we wanted. Or, I'd have spoken to you and